Party people, the number one podcast in America. Comedy and crime, a partisan crime. Melanie Mary in the building. What's up, comedian?
Hey, Rodney, comedian and attorney, Esquire. That's for you. I'm
I
great.
love that. I love that. And of course, the legend himself, Mr. Artsy Musa. How are you, Mr. Musa?
What's up, man? I'm ready to get to the bottom of some stuff and make some jokes about it at the same time, man.
Now is that a Peloton back there in the background?
Oh yeah. This is just for show. It's just for show.
Hey, it's better than mine. Mine got clothes draped on top of it.
Come on, man. Come on. We gotta join the group, man. They too aggressive on that app, bro. They ain't playing.
Hey, you know what? Yeah. Hey, I'm Rodney Perry. This is Comedy and Crime. Let's go!
You gon' see a lot of people doing dumb shit and they said that this gon' happen on the regular. Real people, real crime, true stories. They get fatal, promise ain't nothing that's scarier. Talk about the stories, but you know we different, man. You know we had to add a little twist. Comedy and crime, speaking of man, we different design. You never seen a show like this. Comedy and crime, Rodney Perry live. 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 Comedy and crime, Rodney Perry live.
It's Comedy and Crime. My name is Rodney Perry. That's Artsy Musa. That is Melanie Mary. And the person you don't see, our producer, that's always keeping us on point, Miss Madeline. Madeline, I don't know. What do we call it? Madeline, the group. Which name you use? Madeline, you text me what name I need supposed to use. I mean, I don't want
Legendary.
on
The Kingmaker.
the king. She is the king.
Yeah,
She is the kingmaker.
it's a fact.
But man, since we've been doing this podcast, this really helps you process. Let me ask y'all this before we get started today. What have you learned since we've been doing this podcast that you didn't already know? Now I know Melanie, you're a learner, you're a smart person, you're smarter than both of us.
I'm
That's
just
a
legally
fact.
smarter.
That's an absolute fact. And by the way, your braids are incredible.
Thank you.
All right. But, and I'm gonna give y'all this. What I've learned is this. I've learned that if you commit a crime in America, it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you. Like a real crime, a murder, or some big crime, to get a lawyer like Melanie to defend you, it's gonna cost
Ooh.
upwards $30,000, $50,000. Period.
Period.
What have you learned, Musa?
I learned that it's just not about innocent and guilty, man. It just seems like, are you likable? Do you look like you did it? You know what I mean? Like it's so many when we doing these crimes and we doing these stories. I'm like, he might have got off if he didn't look crazy, or they might have got off if they had a little better defense. Sometimes your defense, you know what I mean? Like we talking to Melanie and Judge Joe Polk. Was that her name? What was the judge we talked to?
Yes.
Jay Pope, yeah, yes.
Man, it's like talking to them two. It's like they telling you stories where this person could have easily got off. It wouldn't have been for this oversight, or the attorney who were defending them could have easily got them off if they would have worded it a little bit different than they worded it. So I'm just like, negligence is a thing, bro. If you can pay for some good defenses, get it. Just say
How
like
about
Rodney
this?
said, you
Stay
can
your
pay
ass
that 30.
out of
Get it.
court. How about this? Stay
Yeah,
your
yeah,
ass out of court. Period.
yeah.
So what I've learned is, well, not so much learned, but I've been a lawyer for I just celebrated my 14-year law anniversary December 3rd. I've been
Ooh.
licensed for 14 years. Thank you. So
Yeah.
taking look,
Before you say that, Mel, passing the bar exam ain't no punk.
and I passed two,
Mm.
California and Georgia. Yeah. Thank you. So what I've enjoyed is taking a look at these cases that occurred when I was a child or a teenager. So looking at it through the eyes of a lawyer and not just a bystander or an audience member, but having the actual legal knowledge to be able to break down and analyze these cases as a 14-year seasoned attorney. So that's been enjoyable because these weren't cases that were on my radar. I mean, they were on my radar as far as like existing, but never, I hadn't legally analyzed them. I do legal analysis for current cases, but going back and looking in the past. So I've enjoyed that.
Wow. I'm super excited about this case today. I've been hearing about this particular case for 20 years. Back in the day, 1988, I graduated high school in 1988. Carter High School football team. These kids end up going on a robbery spree. Am I right, Melanie?
Yeah, 21 robberies. A group of a
Ooh.
ring of 10 students. 6 of them were on the Carter High School football team. But yeah, they did 21 armed robberies. No deaths, thankfully. But yeah, and they were a championship team in 1980. It was 1988 or 1989. So yeah, I was like in kindergarten.
So they're actually the team that one of the teams that was chronicled in Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, and there's a 30 for 30 as well. But Friday Night Lights, they were the opposing team, which was basically an all African American school against a white school. So it's definitely racial tension and bias. And doing the research for this case, I found out that a lot of the white high schools were trying to get them disqualified from the championship because they were so good. And that school created many NFL players.
Wow. All right. Before we unpack this with our comedy and crime team, let's get my man here, man. So I got a lot of friends in Dallas. I'll be in Dallas coming up in January at the Arts and Improv. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to get somebody that was there. And I called my boy DL, and DL said, I know a Carter High School alumni.
Nice.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Arthur Muhammad. Arthur, well, thanks for coming on, bro.
How you doing, bro?
Arthur.
How you doing?
What's up? Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Muhammad, first of all, thank you for coming on today. You remember this moment in history. Talk to me about what it was like during that time.
Definitely. As a matter of fact, I did the film Carter High.
Oh, wow.
That's your movie.
Right, that's my film.
Come on, man.
You were the first person even talking about this.
Right. Because I actually was a character witness for Keith Campbell, the one who got 25 years. We grew up like in the same neighborhood. I was a junior that year, and I played on the team. And
Hold on, wait. Mr. Muhammad, you was on the team?
Yeah, I played. I was a matter of fact.
Y'all was a good football team too.
They still considered the best, like in the country. Like, I mean, right now they say Carter High or Houston Yates, but we all say Carter High was the best team. But yeah, matter of fact, my senior year, I ended up going to I got a football scholarship to SMU. So, and they say our team, the team underneath that team, was better than the team that won state.
Wow.
But we got kicked out the playoffs all because, the same thing that happened before. Not the robberies, but yeah. So yeah, the thing about it is all of them was good guys. No one was like thugs like Friday Night Lights, portrayed us to be. And that's the reason why, one of the main reasons why I did the film was because we met the director who did Friday Night Lights. And so when we went to go see the movie, we was looking at how they portrayed us with do-rags on, like we was from gangs, and we was actually a middle-class community. They called us like the pretty boys from the hood, so to speak.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and like the sister said, we had 19 players to get Division I scholarships off of that team.
Wow. And so take me back. Was this 1988?
89, 88, 89.
89. Take me back to 88, 89. What's going on where these guys felt like they had to do this? Like, I mean, was money just tight?
No, and that's the thing about it is money was not tight. They didn't have to do it. And so what happened was we was going through state, right? And they started, one of the guys, Gary Ellis, they said we was playing with an ineligible player. Anyway, they started trying to get us kicked out the playoffs. Okay. So our parents went to court. Royce West, who's a senator, was a senator here in Texas, he ended up representing us. And we eventually won all the cases, won state. Well, 4 days after we won state, a couple of the brothers who worked at Jack in the Box had this little idea that, he worked there. So, man, y'all could come in, get some money, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Christmas is coming up. And this was during Christmas break, And like I said, idle mind is the devil's workshop. So during the season, we had that hedge around us. So, we everybody was on the straight and narrow. But once the season was over with, I think, and based on, they actually had psychiatrists, psychologists, everybody to come in to try to figure out why they would do what they did, because most of them grew up with 2-parent households, like middle-class families. I mean, they had cars. I mean, everything. And didn't
we're talking about blue chip athletes. These guys is the guys.
Right. And didn't have to do it. And they said basically what they went through. And back then, and this is the truth, back then the community looked at us from Carter High like people look at the Dallas Cowboys. We were the Carter Cowboys, and they would call us the real Cowboys. Like, and I mean, that's really how it was. And I think just having all of that attention and respect, I mean, they could get stuff for free going into, like, restaurants and stuff. They would give it to them just based on who they were. So they didn't have to do it. And eventually they got away with one of them inside little thing at Jack in the Box, and it just kept going on and on and on. When they went back to school after this the Christmas break, the brothers, they always dressed in they Michael Jordan sweatsuits, Jordan shoes, gold, and people were like, wait a minute.
Right, where you get that?
What's going on? So then the word got out, and I think ultimately it was the competition. Look, if they can do it, I know we can do it. So you had one group that was doing it, and then you had another group that started doing it, and it just, and like she said, also nobody got shot, anything like that. The guns weren't even loaded half of the time. Yeah.
Wow, Mr. Muhammad, man, I can't thank you for coming on and giving some context enough, bro. Now, you the class right behind them. What did their actions do to y'all coming up behind them?
I wouldn't even say just to us. I think right now, like, this is 20-something years later, and people still talking about that. We still have to overcome that. But our particular year after that, we ended up getting kicked. We didn't even get to go to the playoffs. And they tried to say we was playing with an ineligible player, but we all know it was based on what happened the previous year. It was nowhere in the world they was going to let us go.
So all these men are free as we talk right now, am I right?
Oh, yes, sir. All of them. I think that Keith did the most time, and I think it was like 7.5, 8 years. He got 25 because the judge said he was the ringleader, called him a psychopath and everything inside the courtroom.
Wow.
Yep.
So what was school like during this time, man? Because I mean, these are your peers, your teammates, and all of a sudden, this is a national case. Am I right?
National, yes, sir. It's a national case, and as a matter of fact, it was all the way up in New York. They was talking about what was going on with this case because it was right during the same time, or close around the same time, with the Central Park 5 or something like that.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was almost about the same time.
Wow,
man. But one thing you said, Rodney, which is great, and I think a lot of people need to understand. Yes, they all are out, and not just they all are out. Nobody went back. So that lets you know they wasn't bad people. They just did some bad things and got caught up.
I mean, I think they were kids, literally kids.
Right, 17 years old.
Wow. Carter High School 88 football team was one of the best in Texas, winning the state championship and cementing their legacy as an all-time great high school team. Carter High School, man. We saw we got an image here of y'all coaches. I mean, these guys, the coaches stepping back then, bro. Like as a motivator of young men, this had to be a lot for them.
Oh man, it broke Coach James' heart. I mean, all of them, but Coach James was like the, the father figure of the team, and yeah, it broke his heart, bro. So he, matter of fact, Charles Dutton actually plays him in the movie, and I was able to bring Coach James and Charles Dutton together, and so they talked and everything. Vivica Fox plays his wife.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. Hey, let me ask you this, Mr. Muhammad. What made you want to tell this story years later?
Well, how we was portrayed, number one. I always felt like it was a story that should be told. And when I met Peter Berg, who directed Friday Night Lights, I kind of mentioned Carter High, which he was familiar with. And he actually said, Quiet as It's Kept, that's the movie that should be made. And in Friday Night Lights, they made it seem like we played Odessa Permian in the championship game, where we really played them right in a semi game. But in order to build Friday Night Lights up, they had to make it as if they played,
That was a big game. They wasn't playing for state.
Right, they weren't playing for state. And so even though a lot of people compare it to Friday Night Lights, but I didn't have nearly the budget, what they had, a $30 million budget to do Friday Night Lights. But one thing I was not going to let that stop us is from telling our own stories. And that was ultimately the goal that I wanted to do, is tell our own stories from our perspective, because too many times people tell our stories from their perspective, which is what they did in Friday Night Lights. And the funny thing is, before I did the movie, I actually wanted to do it 30 for 30. And I reached out to ESPN years before, but they said they didn't do 30 for 30s on high school. But then after we did the movie, they reached out to me, and even though I didn't get any credit for 30 for 30, but they came, because we have like an annual picnic. The director came down and met the players. They came and screened my film at a little studio, and then after that, they did the 30 for 30. But I'm just glad that they was able to get the story out even more than what we did.
Yo, visiting us today, Mr. Arthur Muhammad. He was there. And I've always heard this story, Arthur, man, but to get this context from you, man, has been eye-opening, because I'm like, what was going through their minds? Like you say, they were good kids. They came from two-parent homes. It really didn't make sense.
It makes sense. I'm tell you a really quick story right here. This is a true story. And if Keith Campbell, who is, like I said, is a ringleader of this thing, what the judge said, if he's listening, he'll bear witness. One time Keith was walking around the neighborhood, and this is after they was out on pre-trial release. And I saw him walking, and he had his headphones on, the little Walkmans. And I spoke to him, said, "What's up?" and everything. I said, "So you good, bro?" He said, "Man, hey, I gotta stop listening to that NWA shit." And he said what they would do is they would listen to get pumped up with NWA.
Wow.
Smoke.
Gotta do it. They probably had 40s, OE, the whole thing.
And he said, "Got them going, man." He said, just like we would get up for a football game, they would get up to do the robberies.
Oh, wow.
Wow, man. Man, now that you gave me the context, man. Talk to me about this, Mr. Muhammad. Talk to me about what y'all team symbolized to the community, man. Now, we talking this is the Oak Cliff area, right?
Yes, sir. Oak Cliff.
Yeah. Oak Cliff, Oak Cliff is historically it's kind of an upper middle class area.
Right. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like I said, we was on considered that like they would call us uppity. You know what I'm saying? We was that, and not upper class or upper, but just uppity type. The pretty boys, this and that. We thought we was too good, but ultimately, man, we have so many talented people, and not just football, but I mean basketball, track, tennis, golf. I mean, doctors. I mean, it's so much that comes out of Carter, and they would always say the water is different over there. Then that's what they would say.
Yo, multiple appeals. Carter was allowed to compete, winning the state. So y'all won state in '88. Y'all could have won state again in '89.
Right.
So talk to me about this, man. 88, 89. While these crimes is happening, they were still playing.
No, the crimes didn't start until after the season. After we won state is when they started doing the robberies.
Oh, like you said, out of mind is the devil shot. So they
Right.
wasn't in season.
Right.
Wow, that's insane to me, dude. That is insane. Dude, Mr. Muhammad, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Y'all got any questions for Mr. Muhammad? Melanie? Musa?
Like being that y'all was such a successful team, were the parents of the players close knit as well? Like, did everybody go to everybody's trial? Like, how was that?
Oh yeah, the trials was packed. The everybody was there. The community was all rallied behind, the team and the school. Definitely
Okay, so that's
because during the season, when they was trying to kick us out the playoffs, in and out, the whole. We had like even our rival schools like Kimball High and Roosevelt and Wilma Hutchins, the other urban black schools, they started rallying behind us. These are like, are like arch enemies, but came together during that time.
that's such a blessing, man. 'Cause I know people tend to, if you ever played sports, the parents be just as close as the players are after a while, traveling together and whatnot. That's a blessing that it didn't ostracize y'all or anything for that crime.
Now, let me ask you, Mr. Muhammad. Small town, basically, small town America. Yeah, it's not Dallas, but it's kind of Dallas adjacent. They going into small businesses. Somebody had to recognize these guys.
Some of them, some cases, they said they did recognize them, and they was in on it, and kind of like let them. Matter of fact, the way I wrote it in one of the scenes in the movie, and basically how it happened. In some places they did go in. They was like, "Oh, you so and so. Oh shoot. Oh, y'all robbing the place. Oh, here, go ahead, do your thing." It was like that in some cases.
So if that's the case, Mr. Muhammad, like, how do you prosecute these kids like that at that time? Wow.
Yeah.
Because, and I say that because the same exact thing happened with another community, North Mesquite. They was football team, same thing, did the same thing. Everybody get probation.
Wow.
We just did some stuff about Menendez brothers with that same type of sentiment, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, yo, Arthur Muhammad, man, thank you again for coming on, man. I can't thank you enough. How do we find your movie?
It's on. I recently just had it. It was on several platforms. I think right now you can find it on Peacock.
Okay.
It was on several platforms.
What's the title?
Carter High.
Carter High. And it covers this and just life at Carter High, I'm sure.
Right. It basically deals with this season. The beginning of the season, from our tie with Duncanville all the way through the sentencing of the students.
I have a question because you said Keith Campbell got only, like, he was sentenced for 25 and did 7. What about Derek Evans, Patrick Williams, and Carlos Allen?
Derek got 20.
Okay.
He did, I think, 6 or 5. I know Keith did the most, but
Okay.
Gary got 16.
Okay.
Patrick 15.
Okay.
And I'm not for sure about the rest. I know those for sure.
Okay. So, and all of them are out, productive members of society, never went back. Because when I was doing my research, the articles that I could find tried to characterize it as, they had started playing dice and they accrued a gambling debt, and so they had to rob. And so the mischaracterization of the intent or the motive behind the crimes, because I've read other reports saying, one of them was quoted to say, I just did it for fun. Like, it wasn't, I just did it to fit in or be accepted. So was that really the reason?
with the latter part was more or
Yeah.
less the reason than the gambling, the dice. Yes, they shot dice,
Mhm.
did all that stuff, but nobody accrued any type of debts like that you had to go and rob people.
Right.
They did it, for fun, for the
And I read
most.
a quote. I read a quote from one of the judge. The judge, he said, "If stupidity were a crime, you all deserve life without parole."
Right, and and that he did say that. Judge
Yeah.
Kimball, he said
Yeah.
that. I remember he said that, and that was it because nobody can understand why they did what they did. Nobody to this day, they probably couldn't even tell you. Like, man, right now he say, "Oh man, bro, I don't know, man." You know,
But you gave it to him. You gave it to Muhammad. I'm tell you what it is. It's that damn NWA.
that
Rest in
music has
peace.
a powerful effect on us, though. That's for sure.
It
And
really does. It really does.
he told me that. He said, "Man, I gotta stop listening to that, man."
It
Man,
really
can
does.
you imagine if them boys had shot somebody, man, they'd have been in jail forever.
Right.
Oh, and also, just so you all know, armed robbery, even if it has the appearance of a gun, it's still armed robbery. So it doesn't have to be a real gun. It could be a water gun. It could be a super soaker. Well, it has to look like a gun, but like if it has the appearance of a gun, even if it's fake, it's still armed robbery.
Really?
That's
Yeah, it
crazy.
doesn't matter if it's real or fake, as long as it has the appearance of a gun. So you could stick somebody up, like you could either put your cell phone in your pocket and stick somebody up. So if the person thinks you have a gun, it's still armed
That's
robbery.
enough. Wow, that's crazy.
Yep. Yep.
What if I got like a little nub hand and it ain't my fault? That ain't my fault though. Like you gonna really judge? You gonna really send me to jail because of
Don't say
that?
shoot him up if you got a little nub.
See
We'll give
what
you
you
half.
gotta say?
We'll give you
What
half
you
the
gotta say?
time.
Hey
It ain't
man,
good.
the name of the podcast is Comedy and Crime. We got my brother Arthur Muhammad. He's a filmmaker. He's he's alumni, Carter High School alumni. Hey man, I know high school football. People live and breathe high school football in Texas.
For
Um,
sure.
for a community to go through this had to be devastating, man. And you had to come through the following year and be great. How
Right.
hard was that for your squad?
It was hard. I mean, and then the sad thing is, a lot of times, for players, you wait. You don't really wait, but you expect and hope for the playoffs to really shine and build up, your name, so you can get, go to a bigger school. Well, our team didn't get the opportunity to do that, so because they didn't let us go to the playoffs.
Wow.
So our
I
season,
mean, but it wasn't because of those guys, though, was it?
they didn't say that directly, but other things came up to the point where we was ineligible to go to the playoffs.
Wow, that's insane, man. Mr. Arthur Muhammad, thank you, thank you, thank you. Name of the podcast, Comedy and Crime. I'll let you know when this one gonna come out, man. I would love for you to get your opinion on this conversation, bro. You gave me so much context, and thank you to D. Ellis as well for connecting the dots, bro.
Thank you, appreciate you, brother.
That's it.
My
Thank you,
man.
brother.
Hey
Okay.
man, what a great contribution. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad came through, kicked it with us. Yo,
It's crazy.
to put all this in perspective, dog, is insane. Cause
Yes.
like you said, Melanie, when I first heard this story, I'm like, what was wrong with these guys? But to get some context and to watch it all kind of unfold as Mr. Muhammad was breaking it down, what's your thoughts, Melanie, as the legal eagle?
Well, it's unfortunate because these were young men with so much promise, so much athletic talent. I think one of them, I read an account, and God, I wish I could have asked Mr. Muhammad about this. He had accepted his D1 scholarship in a hot tub, so he did a Deion Sanders before Deion Sanders.
Wow.
So the fact that these young men like came from two-parent homes,
Mhm.
were they were looked up to in the community. I mean, like he was in the class under them, so I know he looked up to them as far as role models. The coaches, I mean, he said that one coach was devastated. I mean, it breaks my heart because it's like these coaches are father figures, and they're sometimes spending more time with these young men than their parents with practice and strength training. And, I dated a couple football players in high school. So I know the rigorous, training schedule. They would have to go to the gym and lift weights before school, after school, then practice, then have games. So, I mean, it's a rigorous training schedule. And so to invest all of that time and, in developing their athleticism. I mean, most of these guys are in football since Pop Warner. I mean, so they're little kids coming up and going to high school and then getting D1 scholarships just to have it all crash and burn over. I mean, one robber, they got $200. Another one, they got $11,000. So, I mean, they got differing amounts. I mean, the Jack in the Box was the first one that popped it off. But, they were really they were intelligent and talented, athletically young men. And to see I'm glad none of them went back to prison. I'm glad they're all out. I'm glad they're all, successful and rebuilt their lives. But I mean, to have to sit down for 5 to 7 years over some dumb mess it just makes me sad.
Hey, Musa, you're an athlete, man. What comes to mind, man? I know you've been on football teams. You've done a lot of stuff in your lifetime. Talk to me about what this must have been like for you.
Man, to me, it just feels like, even as an athlete and a dad, it's a cautionary tale, man. Some mistakes you pay for the rest of your life, and you just gotta wear that, and that's how we just go about life. And it scares me because you look at those kids, you see yourself in these high school kids. Except for that picture you showed me, that dude built like a grown ass man. That's insane. But he showed me, you see it too, right? Like these look like grown ass men. But as a black man, it just seems like, what could have been had this mistake not occurred? You could be looking at Deion Sanders. You know what I mean? You could be looking at the next whoever. So I'm like, these kids, I didn't want to say that it was taken for granted because this is a huge popular school. The team before you was D1. The team before them, D1. The team after them was D1. These middle class kids, they don't have to worry about coming home, no lights, no food in the house. So when you live in that life, sometimes you do feel you're not appreciating it the way you should appreciate it. And I think that leads to you making dumb mistakes like that. Like a lot of us don't come from privilege. So we kind of walk a different type of path, and I think it's easier to make mistakes like that when you don't have these same issues that we tend to deal with day to day.
Wow. Hey, so true, Mr. Musa. Yo, this is so crazy, man. And we had Mr. Arthur Muhammad on. He's the producer, creator of Carter High School. The film is on Peacock. But let's check out this 30 for 30 trailer.
Dallas Carter, 1988.
The team you don't remember from Friday Night Lights.
The greatest high school team that has ever been assembled. Ever. You're walking through the mall and people are asking you for your autograph.
We were 18-year-old movie stars.
We're like the princes of the city. There was nowhere you couldn't go.
Rules, they didn't apply to me.
When you that good and you're All-American,
you could do anything.
I started thinking I was bigger and beyond the law.
People came to me and I didn't know that your son would do something like that. I didn't know either.
We created an environment. The Texas high school football players, if they don't have it, they're going to take it.
It was heartbreaking. They'd thrown away everything that they did.
Man.
Yo, Carter High School, man. Such a compelling story, man. And to watch those young men in their faces, man, here many years later, yo, you don't get time back. One decision could change your whole life. My name is Rodney Perry. That's Mr. Artsy Musa. Melanie Mary is in the building. And the name of the podcast is Comedy and Crime, the #1 podcast in America. Yo, Carter High School, man. How crazy is this?
It's heartbreaking, bro. It is heartbreaking. Damn.
Wow.
We need to do where are they now?
The young man was like, yo, man, I can't believe your son did it. He said, nigga, I can't believe it.
Right, I can't believe it. He's like, I didn't think so either.
You know how angry you gotta be when you give your kids everything and they still go out and do some knucklehead stuff like that.
You just don't. You
Fight
take
this nigga.
control. All you can do is raise your kids.
You
What they do is up to them. All right, Mr. Musa, we skipped over your segment because we had Arthur here at the beginning. What's happening out there in the streets, bro?
We should have skipped over my segment. This amazing show we already done had, man. Apparently, a guy don't appreciate his blessings. You guys, like, we gonna co-host this with my girl Melanie right here. Like, this man goes to jail for murder and he gets acquitted, and because of the mistake, he's awarded $4 million. Now, I went to jail. I get out with $4 million. I wouldn't get so much of a speeding ticket after that, but not him. Not him.
Not him.
After serving 24 years in prison for a murder he did not commit, a Philadelphia man who was given a $4.1 million settlement by city officials is going back to prison. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, 50-year-old Sharon Thomas entered a guilty plea in court on Thursday for the January 3, 2023, murder of 38-year-old Akeem Edwards due to a $1,200 drug debt. He was previously sentenced to life in prison after being found guilty of second-degree murder in connection with the shooting death of a Puerto Rican businessman in November 1990. However, Thomas had...
Yo! Insane. So I'm talking to a buddy today, right? And so almost a year ago, somebody shot him, right? He thinks he knows who it was. He said, dog, if I find out who it is, I'm going to kill him. I said, I hear what you're saying, bro. I know we from the streets, but do you want to affect the rest of your life from a decision over something you survived already? Like that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a guy who got, like you say, Boosie got $4 million settlement, and then you lose your liberty over $1,500 drug situation.
1,200. 1,200.
12, not even 15.
Come on, man. Come on.
So you got $4.1 million in the bank because when you get a settlement like that, I mean, he may have to pay taxes. So that's $2 million.
Hold up, man. Hold up. It was a lot of Negroes around him. He ain't got $4 million. It was a lot of people happy in the pictures. He ain't got $4 million though. But go ahead. Yeah, they were celebrating like they would get a piece.
Well, here's the thing. He wanted to go back to jail. Okay, he liked it.
Oh yeah.
He was institutionalized like that guy in Shawshank Redemption. He's like, I gotta shoot somebody so I can go back to prison because I don't like it out here. It's too. He was in there for 24 years, so he's been in there since 1999. Okay?
Oh my God.
So I graduated high school in 1999. I had my 25-year reunion this year. So he was in. Thank you. He was in prison for 24 years, 4.1 million, and like you said, it was for a 1991 murder he did not commit. So he was wrongfully convicted. So the state paid him because they had to overturn the conviction and then pay him for the wrongful, like this basically for false imprisonment since he didn't commit the crime. So for you to go out and murder somebody over $1,200, he wanted to go back to jail. He liked it there. And he got $2 million on his commissary.
Wow.
He get all the oodles and noodles he want. All the ramen noodles.
The soup.
Cigarettes.
Y'all stupid. That'd be a good show, right? Comedy and crime. So let's look at crimes in movies and see if they make sense.
That's a great one.
Wait. Because I saw something, and this falling. Did y'all see this? I saw something. The guy said the movie Life depresses him because you got a black man accused of a crime he didn't commit that ends up catching a life sentence for a murder he didn't commit. How two people? How absurd is that? And how common is that, Melanie?
It's very common, and in fact, I mean, there's been profiles of so many people on death row that have been executed that were, not guilty. I mean, there was recently a case like in St. Louis there was exculpatory evidence, meaning evidence that could clear his name, that was found, and they still executed him. So it happens daily because witnesses lie. Eyewitness testimony is unreliable. Witnesses are sometimes coerced into testifying. So a lot of times the only thing the police have is eyewitness testimony. Not all crimes have DNA, fingerprints, other kind of biological evidence. Most crimes are solved because somebody tells, right? Either they confess or a witness comes forward. But typically, like for this person to go back to jail after doing, it's insane to me. But like this whole, there's a project called the Innocence Project. So there's literally a whole project that reviews convictions for like prisoners, that inmates that write in, and they get thousands and thousands of submissions every year. It's like, I didn't do this.
That's what free Reuben Hurricane Carter.
Right. I mean, so like there are so many stories of wrongful convictions of people that are on death row. So that's why a lot of states like California have they're like, we're not executing anybody anymore, because the fact that there are people that are falsely accused of murder and get life sentences all the time.
Wow,
that's so scary.
Yo,
I do feel like people can get used to jail though.
Yeah.
I think certain people who can do time and certain people who can't. And I think once you realize you're one of the people who can do time, it don't affect you the same way.
I'm gonna tell y'all like this, and y'all tell me what y'all think about this. We've all seen people that come out of jail. I say, even though it's a stressful environment, it's not as stressful as out here in America. Like,
no,
you're not eating, you getting 3 meals a day. You're not eating no bad food. You're working out every day. Like, I see dudes come home from jail and they look like they've been in a time capsule. Am I tripping?
Nah, you're not. You're not, man. The jail has a certain amount of structure that you don't have in the real world. And I feel like people go to jail sometimes because they can't handle this. They can't handle this. Like, say you got multiple kids, you ain't got no job, your baby mama getting on you. Jail is a vacation for you. You all that stress, everything that's stressing you out in the real world is gone when you get behind them doors. And on top of that, the people who are your loved ones, there's a level of sympathy in the black community when you're in jail. Even if you did some bullshit, there's a level of sympathy. So you don't have any responsibility and you get the sympathy. Low key, it's not a win, but for some people, it's a win. I know some 8 crap dudes in jail right now who ain't tripping.
Melanie, imagine this. Is going to jail a rite of passage now, because like I see like a lot of men my age, and if you ain't been in jail, people look at you sideways like you ain't been locked up none.
For nothing.
Well, I think it's a vestige of slavery and institutionalized racism. The fact that the stereotypical, black men, it's a 1 in 3 possibility that you have had an encounter with the criminal justice system. So 1 in 3 black men has been touched by the criminal justice system. So I don't know if it's a rite of passage as to so much as a result of institutionalized racism, because black communities are over policed. How is it that we are only 13% of the population, but we are 33% of the prison population, or probably 40% of the prison population, if my numbers are correct? Yeah. So there is a school to prison pipeline. In fact, there is a book called the 13, or there was a documentary about, I read the book and I watched the documentary by Michelle, I think her name is Michelle Thompson, if I'm not mistaken. But they literally calculate the number of prison beds they need by the amount of black men in 3rd grade. So prison is not a rite of passage. It is a vestige of the fact that our communities are over policed. The same crimes that we are convicted of, we get higher penalties and higher sentences, and we are more likely to have encounters with the criminal justice system. And since prisons have been privatized, they use its replacement of slavery for cheap labor. Because my mother was incarcerated from 89 to 99, and she was getting 11 cents an hour to make whatever, coaxial cables. Some companies like Victoria's Secret, The Gap, Banana Republic, companies are using cheap labor.
It's a sweatshop.
It's a sweatshop. So I don't believe it's a rite of passage as so much. I was a prosecutor before I became a criminal defense attorney. 90% of my defendants were black men. I was living in Atlanta. This was Fulton County. Out of all of my defendants, none of them graduated high school, because when I took a plea, I had to ask them, what's the highest level of education you receive? And they say 10th grade, 11th grade. So what are your career opportunities if you have no education other than crime or McDonald's, and you're going to choose crime?
Yeah. Crime is way more lucrative. All right, guys. Absolutely awesome show today. Mr. Musa, what's cracking, man? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm loving life right now. I'm still kind of sad about this episode today. You know what I mean? I be getting down when I see like black boys make mistakes like that. That's when you said that judge cursed. That was a black judge. Cause don't nobody curse you out like an older black man when you see a young man make a mistake like that. That I knew. He never said that black judge was black. I knew he was black. But yeah. Aside from that, man, I'm great, man. Life is good. We on time. We woke up with all the feelings in our limbs. We good to go.
That's a good day. Miss Melanie, how are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. But I really enjoyed today's episode, and what a treat to have Arthur Muhammad, the producer and a student of Carter High, to give us the inside information and give us the the really the deep dive into what really happened. That I couldn't get that from even the research I did. So that was really great.
Hey, y'all, thank you to Arthur Muhammad. Thank you to my man D. Ellis who connected the dots for us. Thank you to Miss Melanie Mary. Thank you to Artsy Musa. And thank you to Rodney Perry. What a show today, guys. Comedy and Crime, the #1 podcast in America. What?
You gon' see a lot of people doing dumb shit and they said that it's gon' happen on the regular. Real people, real crime, true stories. They get fatal, promise ain't nothing that's scarier. Talk about the stories, but you know we different, man. You know we had to add a little twist. Comedy and crime, speaking of man, we different design. You never seen a show like this. Comedy and crime, Rodney Perry live.